What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/am I the bud ho. And if you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack straight on with today's stories. Much love, guys. And this story comes from Love My Car 66, titled, Am I the Arsehole for telling my boyfriend I didn't want to spend time with his family after they tried to make me prove I was good enough for him? I went to meet my boyfriend's family for the first time, and it was a weird vibe. First, his brother, who was in a similar field of work, started quizzing me on my word, like it was a job interview. I ended up joking that I don't talk shop unless I'm getting paid for it. After that, went on for a while. He asked me kinda rudely if I just got into that field to meet a wealthy man. My boyfriend and his family are wealthy. So I said that I was in it to out-earn the wealthy men. Another joke, or half-joke at least, I like my financial independence. Next, his cousin asked me if I was a workaholic, like some ex of some guy in the family who was never home and never did a household chores. I said, nah, I'm out of work at 5 on the dot. I care a lot about a good work-life balance. Then they were saying I was such a millennial, which I don't know what they meant by that. There was more but overall it felt like a job interview or an interrogation rather than a social event. It felt like I was being asked questions and set up to be judged. I left early after a conversation with his mum, who was asking me about my homemaking skills and not really liking my answer, that my boyfriend is the better cook, and before I met him I was eating too much takeout, but he's teaching me to cook. His mum made a comment about how in her day women brought something special to the table. I kinda tried to play it off with a joke, saying that I'd bring him beer, but it really didn't land. Anyway, I headed out early and he stayed that night, but as soon as he left too, he wanted to talk about why I dipped super early. I said I felt like I was being interviewed for a job of being good wifey instead of just meeting people socially, and I feel like that's not something I enjoy. I like hanging out with people who are chill and accepting. He said he felt like they were just being protective and trying to make sure he was ending up with a good partner, and they meant well. And they're like that whenever a new partner gets introduced, but they warm up to people quick. That every woman in the family has been questioned a bit and bond over it later on. I said I already know I'm a catch, and honestly, they were disrespecting us both by making judgy comments and him by not trusting him to pick up a good partner himself. I said I didn't feel like going for Thanksgiving or Christmas anymore, unless some people apologize and agree not to do this weird hazing shit again. He said that he felt I was being unreasonable and I should give them another chance at Thanksgiving. I feel like he's being insensitive and pushing me to go somewhere I'm not respected. Again, am I the arsehole for telling my boyfriend I don't want to go to his family's holidays after they met me and it felt like they questioned my worth for hours? Now this is a definite not the arsehole from me, and I'm questioning the boyfriend in this as well. I know afterwards we realized that he was okay with their behavior and he was almost, enabling their behavior. But during it, when, brother came up to you and said, oh, you're just after a wealthy man, didn't boyfriend say anything about this at all? It just enabled it during the dinner as well. So you have to sit there and take all this shit from the family. The boyfriend just sat there and, okayed it pretty much. And we talk about enablement a lot on this channel because it happens in so many stories, and there's always someone enabling somewhere else, like the boyfriend's enabling the whole family in this situation to, basically give you an interview at the table to see if you're worth being a part of his life. And I feel like if I was in that situation, I'm not sure, I wouldn't want to go back to around their house again unless there was a real, genuine apology for their behavior. Because put yourself in OP's shoes and, you just come out from that knowing how you've just been disrespected in front of a whole group of people. Would you want to go round there again, to risk it happening again without an apology? Hell no, would I want to do that. So 100% not the arsehole from me. But whatever Benny says, not the arsehole. However, one I would consider giving the family a second chance if you were serious about the partner. Being able to socialize with them would make life a lot easier. Do not go at Thanksgiving or Christmas. That is a terrible idea. His family will be more entrenched in their ways and feeling possessive. You might, I would, resent wasting a holiday with them if it goes badly. Leaving early would also end up a big deal. Having a way less weighted second chance if you want to. I would not, because they sound generally sexist as well as specifically mean. I won't want to deal with that forever, but it is up to you. Way says not the arsehole. However, his family and he are complete arseholes. His reaction is a look into your future if you tolerate that BS from them and from him. A lot of them clearly feel superior to not only you, but anyone who hasn't been born into their tax bracket. It's not wise to ignore such blatant arbingers of relationship inequity. and ingrained disrespect. You can do so much better. And now Corin says not the asshole at all, and how horrible you had to fend off all their questions and hazing on your own. I hope your partner at least had your back on some of it. Also, you've now clearly stated you are uncomfortable with this kind of behavior, so your partner should be addressing his family that this hazing is no longer acceptable. The woman boned over their hazing period. Makes me cringe. I wouldn't go either. Soaring Seafoam says not the arsehole, but the question is, now that you know he retrospectively okay with their behavior, accepting he didn't know it was happening at the time, is he good enough for you? To which Oki replies say, I feel pretty secure in the fact that I won't let myself be put into situations I don't feel I'm respected. I won't be there for that. I feel like if he accepts I'm not going to be disrespected and sticks with me, holidays with me, I having his family apologize and talk about what will be done different if I return, that is fine. But if he tries to ask me to go anywhere, I'm not going to be treated well, I'm not okay with that. Now, what do you guys make of this situation? Put yourself in OP's shoes. How would you react? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Reason for No Marriage, titled Am I the Arsehole for telling my ex's family the reason we won't get him married despite having a child together and getting him in trouble. So I dated my ex for 3 years and found out he didn't think I was good enough to marry, but I was good enough to keep on the side. Looking back, I should have realized that since he never introduced me to his family, they live in a different country, so I let him use that as an excuse, and our relationship was more sex than anything else on his side. I found out because I asked him what would happen if I got pregnant one day. At this point, I already knew I was pregnant, and he told me that would ruin things. He was blunt and said that while he loved me, he couldn't marry me, but things between us didn't need to ever end. I broke up with him on the spot and blocked him on everything when he tried to convince me to come back. I still hadn't told him I was pregnant, and I had no intentions of telling him until the baby was born. My plan didn't work out because he found out when I was 6 months. Our son is a year old, and since my ex found out I was pregnant, he's been trying to convince me to marry him. We took our son to visit his family this month. His family have been very nice, but that also of the opinion that us getting married would be the best thing for our son. His grandfather asked me yesterday why I wouldn't marry him considering he could give me and our son everything we could ever want. So I told him what he had said to me. They weren't happy with him, and after I left the room, they told him off. Now my ex is pissed at me for dragging his family into our issues because I wouldn't let go of his past mistakes. Am I the arsehole? From the last couple of paragraphs there where you took your son to visit his family, I hope that's not a sign that you're actually getting married to this guy, because that doesn't sound like a good idea to me from what you said. And all you did in this story is tell the truth. You told the truth to his family about what he said. He was an arsehole. He deserves the consequences of being an arsehole. And that's all there is to it. So I'm 100% not the arsehole to me. But Rolling Katamari says not the arsehole. You've seen this side of him, and that's not a side you want to be married to. Please do not give your son his last name. Don't even put this man on the birth certificate. Do immediately contact a lawyer so you can get things in writing like visitation rights and child support. But seriously though, says not the arsehole, he's going to let you take all the hate from his family for his immaturity. I wouldn't want to marry someone just because we had a kid either, and he made it clear that is his only reason for wanting to marry you. He can and should still provide for your kid, regardless of whether you're married. But clearly, he can't give you everything you could ever want. Stay civil, let him be involved in your kid's life, but don't settle for him just because you had a kid together. Zion Maelstrom says, not the arsehole, it honestly hurts. It hurts for a reason. Also, no one is entitled to marriage, not for a kid or any other reason. Marrying just because they're the kid in the picture is a sure way to end up resentful and miserable. And one more from Not Dead Yet 090 who says not the arsehole. Actions have consequences, and all you did was tell a truthful story. Look after and love your kid. That's all that matters. Now, what do you guys make of this story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and let's move on to the next one. And our next story comes from No Consequence 7577, titled Am I the Arsehole for intimidating my boyfriend's roommate? My 20 female boyfriend, same age as me, lives on college dorm, and his new roommate, 18 male, but he looks younger, was moving that day. When I knocked on the door, the new kid opened it and stared at me as if he saw a ghost. He didn't move or say anything for a few seconds, so I told him, are you just going to stand there gawking at me, or are you going to let me in? I talk like that to people in general, and my boyfriend in particular. Also, I was a little weirded out by this kid looking at me. He moved from the door without saying anything, but kept his eyes on me. Don't let her torture you like that, kid, called out my boyfriend from the bed jokingly. She's a championship-level ball-buster. I looked at the kid in the eyes and asked, you've got any? He stopped looking at me and went to his bed. My boyfriend and I would go and do eat pizza, and he invited the kid. He just moved his head to say no. After we left, my boyfriend told me that the kid is really shy, and I went too far with my banter. I said that he should have warned me because he knows how I am, and that I only said the balls thing because he set me up. Am I the arsehole? Now, there's banter, and there's just being a moron. Why would you go into a place like this and act this way? Why would you think that's an acceptable way to act to someone you've just met? No, they open the door and you say, "Hi, my name's such and such. I'm this person's boyfriend. Can I come in?" Instead, you stand there and say, "Are you just going to stand there gawking at me? You going to let me? Can I fought back out?" And breaking this down further, you've said 2 lines to this person, and you're in their apartment or their dorm even. You said he's just going to stop gawking at me and then basically imply that he hasn't got any balls. How is that acceptable? Of course you're the arsehole. And it's one of those ones where if OP was in front of me right now, I'd say put yourself in that kid's shoes. That kid is shy and you've acted that way towards someone. Please take a look at yourself. Of course you're the arsehole. Vodka Queen said you're the arsehole. You need to learn some manners and how to talk to people. If that's how you talk to people, then it makes you a bullying arsehole. Hope he has you banned from the dorm for being a dick. And Zoyo says you're the arsehole. Who the hell talks to people like that? This isn't someone who tolerates your rude ass. This was a stranger. Need to apologize. He was probably caught off guard because he wasn't expecting a stranger, and especially a rude ass one, showing up at his dorm. And Nas says that you're the arsehole. You didn't even introduce yourself and went at him with the balls line. I wouldn't want to get pizza with you either. Lol. And List FC says you're the arsehole. Put yourself in the kid's shoes. He opened the door to a complete stranger who didn't introduce themselves and expected to be let in. Shy kid, probably first year of university, and your sentence was pretty harsh, which you immediately followed up with a comment question his masculinity. Even aside from that, your boyfriend specifically told you that you went too far. He's your boyfriend. He's responsible for the things you say and the way you act. It isn't his fault. He didn't warn you not to be rude to someone you've never met before. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and move on to the next one. There's no way that what could be and not the arsehole. Please. And our next 3 come from Tron3462 titled, "Am I the arsehole for sitting on my friend's girlfriend?" So this just happened to me, 29 Mayo. A little about me, I'm the type of person that shows physical affection to my friends. Hugs, shoulder taps, a touchy person, as people would describe me. Now, I always make sure that the person I touch is okay with it. I never invade people's personal space without their consent, and as I get more comfortable with them, as they become friends, the more I show my affection through touch. One thing I do is if they're sitting on the chair or something, I come sit on their lap and say, "Hey." It's something I only do if I have a personal relationship and trust with that person. I never do it to strangers. So tonight, I was with my buddy and his girlfriend, both of whom I've known for years and are very close with. So I did my normal thing. I saw her sitting down, and I went to say hey by sitting on her lap. It always was reciprocated with a hug and a "hey, good to see you" type reaction. Except this time, she pushed me off of her. I could tell by the look on her face that she was not happy. My buddy kind of just said one of the generic, "Oh, she's not in the good mood tonight" excuses, which I totally get. I apologized to her and said, "Hey, I didn't mean to upset you." And she just gave me "it's okay" wave and didn't look at me. So I went and sat down, and I look over at my buddy and his girlfriend, and she's angry talking about what I felt was me, because I would catch her giving me that little glares while doing so. So they go to leave, and before they do, she uses the bathroom. I go to my buddy and ask if he's okay, and he informs me that she accidentally hates when I do what I do, and apparently it's been building that for a while, and that's why she pushed me. And as she leaves the bathroom, she doesn't even say bye to me, and calls my buddy saying she's out in the car. Now, I was very shocked by this because, like I said above, it was always reciprocated by her to me. So the fact that she hates it and never told me kind of made me feel hurt and offended. So, am I the arsehole for feeding this way? And there's an edit to cover a couple of things. Edits. Okay, so to cover a few things. 1, yes, I asked for consent before sitting in her lap tonight, was given the okay by her. 2, I understand that it may be strange to you guys that I'm an adult and I sit in my friends' laps, but not everyone has the same relationships and ways they act around their friends the same way you do. How my friends and I act towards each other is our business, and I don't need to hear how weird it is, so please keep it to yourself. 3, she would greet me the same way many times over the years. 4, don't assume you know what my friends are thinking. DMing me saying half your friends probably want you to stop being this way. Obviously, if so, they wouldn't do it themselves. I'm not the sole violator of friend space. This is just about what happened with me this time with this friend. And then OP does give an update afterwards, so we'll cover that after some of the comments. Now, I may be wrong to say this first bit, but I'm going to say it anyway, because it's the way I was feeling as I was reading the story, and it sort of felt like the first part of the edit where it said, yes, I asked for consent before sitting in her lap tonight, was given the okay by her, and it felt like it was sort of added afterwards, and it didn't really happen. The way I read like the original story, you felt like you've built up this relationship where you can just go and plonk yourself down their lap and say, hey, that sort of thing. Whereas I can't imagine the story of you going up to this person and say, hey, can I sit on your lap? And then go, hey, that just doesn't make sense to me. But as I said, I could be completely wrong. And obviously, I don't know their relationship, how well they know each other and all this sort of stuff. But if one of my friends come up to me and just plonk themselves on my lap, I'd be like, what the fuck? Just like that. I'm all for friend hugs and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. Share the love, spread the love, but sitting on someone is crossing boundaries to me. And it sounds like you just don't have awareness of your friend's boundaries at all. Maybe they're not expressing them, but they may be scared to upset you at the same time. And you try to make it clear about the whole consent thing throughout the post, but I don't think you're totally aware of how your friend's feeling. Well, clearly you're not, because they said this had been building up over a period of time. So I'm afraid, yes, you will be the asshole in this situation. Don't sit on people. I think it's just crossing the boundaries. I know some people may do that, but in this particular case, I think it's gone way too far. You're the asshole. Elise says, you're the asshole. Stop sitting in people's laps. She's clearly never made a fuss about it because she thought you'd be hurt and offended like you are now. You can be physically affectionate without putting your entire body on top of someone while they're sitting down minding their own business. Even if you are a physically affectionate person, that does not mean you're entitled to touching other people. Sitting on someone's lap is also a fairly flirty thing and is likely viewed as aggressive by your friend's girlfriend and other women. Mantis Prawn Barbecue says you're the arsehole. 26 male and a touchy person is another way of saying creepy as fuck and borderline sexual harassment/assault. Have you got zero situational awareness? She said it's been building up, so you've been touching her for a long time and never once noticed she hated it. I would hate you touching me too. Stop touching people. Of course she isn't fucking happy about it. What in the actual fuck? Contribution you says you're the asshole who actually sits on people to show affection like that. A lot of times women deal with uncomfortable situations so they don't cause drama. I have a feeling that you miss some signs because this is not okay. I'd be very annoyed with a friend who goes around just sitting on people. Not okay, and I'm surprised someone hasn't tried to establish this boundary sooner. Please stop this and find a better, more respectful way to show your friends affection. Season Positive says you're the asshole. Adults don't sit in other adult laps. You need to be more thoughtful and genuine about if people actually like it when you touch them this much, because I sincerely doubt they do. Oki replies saying, I would disagree with you only because this is something that was very normal for me. Adults being this way towards others with whom they are very close with. If it had been a friend I only knew a few months, I wouldn't do it. But this was a friend who wasn't estranged in any way and even treated me to the same type of affection, vice versa, many times. And one more from Madwitch Librarian who says you're the asshole. I think what you're missing is how easy it is, especially for women, to feel compelled to consent in social situations. If she's your buddy's girlfriend, coming into a new social circle, she may have felt like she needed to be okay with it when you asked for consent. Also, sitting on people's laps is a little weird, like when you say, show affection through touch. I think hugs or high fives or casual interaction type things. Heck, if I were your friend, I wouldn't be too pleased with you being so comfortable with my girlfriend's personal space. Apologize to the girlfriend and realize that verbal consent doesn't always mean people are actually okay with you tiggering your way through their personal bubble. Now we're going to read the update to see what it says. So update, hello everyone. First I wanted to say thank you to all for giving me your honest opinion and advice. You've all given me a lot to think about in regards to how I act with others. I've decided to take your suggestions and stop with the whole lap sitting thing. Regardless of if my friends are okay with it or not, I do see how it can cause more problems than anything, and will curb this part about me. Second, I spoke with my friend and her boyfriend and fully apologized for my actions towards her. Without going into too much detail, she informed me that she wasn't fully upset with me. She had been going through some things and had a very bad day, and this was just something that set her off. I told her there's no need for her to apologize. I was the asshole for invading her personal space and reassured her I was going to dial it back with the lap sitting. She really appreciated it. Her boyfriend said I could feel sit in his lap any time, jokingly, but I told them both I would stop doing that altogether. Third, I want to also say sorry to you all. That called me out on the weird behavior and having to read my justification edits. I was defending what I considered normalcy and wasn't seeing the bigger picture. Thank you all for your brutal honesty. Happy to take the arsehole title on this one, and will no longer be lap sitting. Now, what do you guys make of this story? What do you think about the update as well? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to the next story. And next week I'm from a throwaway account titled Am I the Asshole for Throwing a Woman's Divorce in Her Face After She Insulted My Marriage? Throwaway. I, 28 female, have been married to my husband Harold, 29 male, for the past 5 years. A bit of background. Harold and I have what most people will refer to as a traditional marriage. He's the breadwinner and I'm the homemaker, so all the responsibilities in the home are my job, and all the responsibilities outside the home are his job. Harold and I agreed to pursue this type of lifestyle, and it benefits us both equally. And fortunately, we've had our share of judgment and harsh opinion from people that simply don't understand our marriage. We've had a few friends and family members tell us that Harold is forcing this life on me. I'm wasting my best years, etc. I try my best to explain to people that our marriage dynamic is consensual and it's what makes us happy. It also doesn't make it any easier that I'm the only woman in my friend group that doesn't work outside the home. Yesterday, I had a girls get together with all my friends, 8 of us in total. A friend of mine asked if she could invite one of her co-workers, Nina, 32 female. My friend told me that Nina recently went through a messy divorce and that she could use some girl tie. I never met Nina, but I didn't see any problem when inviting her. Nina comes over, she introduces herself, and everything was going smoothly. A couple hours into the visit, Nina asked me what I do for work. I told her that I didn't have a conventional job and that I'm a homemaker. Nina gave me a confused look, which I'm very used to at this point. She then asked, why would you want to be cooped up in here all day? I told her that my husband and I are happy, just having a more traditional marriage. She rolled her eyes and said, oh right, it's what you and your husband wanted. I asked her what she meant by that. She said, no woman who was born after the 40s actually wants traditional marriage. The husband's just convinced them to want it. I then said that her comments were a bit rude, generalizing, and belittling. She kept giving me judgy side glances and clearly wasn't taking me seriously. The last straw was when I overheard her tell one of my friends, well, at least OP doesn't have kids, especially daughters. I just can't imagine them living a life like this. I was pissed off and said, you're right, Nina, this isn't a happy life to live. When I need tips on how to become a depressed divorcee at 32, I'll give you a call. Everyone heard it. The room went dead silent. Nina then started crying and left. A couple of my friends left and called me a bitch for stooping so low. A couple of other my friends stayed and said that Nina deserved it after being so rude to me first. I spoke to Harold about what happened, and he's on the fence about the whole thing. I, the arsehole. I think it's one of those ones where it could be and everyone sucks it, but it's like a justified arsehole, you know. But for this one, I am going to say not the arsehole. I was imagining, you know, someone who that I invited as a guest to come over my house because they're going through a hard time. You were kind enough to do that for them. They come into your house and start judging your lifestyle. Start talking about if you was to have, thank God you don't have children, right? Because you just given the same lifestyle as you. And yeah, that would send me over the top. Who the bloody hell is she to come into my house and judge me like that? Get your ass out. So absolutely not the arsehole to me. I'm feeling sassy. But throwaway Peking Duck says not the arsehole, who even has the audacity to come into someone else's home, at an event that we're not actually invited, and to belittle the life choices of someone they've only just met. And she's clearly trying to make herself feel better by ragging on you. The comments about husband could be interpreted as a bitterness towards men coming out, and some kind of warped form of what she thinks feminism should be. But when she essentially implied that you'd make a terrible mother to daughters, that was uncalled for and inexcusable. Macaroon Head says not the arsehole. Honestly, she's probably just bitter because her marriage just broke up and yours seems to be doing perfectly fine. My sister and brother-in-law have a reverse type of traditional marriage. He loves to be home to cook, to clean, to do all the traditional wife work. My sis hates doing all that, so he is a homemaker, and his sis makes all the money, but she values him and everything he does, and he also has a full say in everything that happens because they're in a marriage. Jasmadoodle says everyone sucks here. If you cannot respect my choices, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave my home. You don't have to be cruel to set a rock-solid boundary. Scratch Shadow says everyone sucks here, though her more than you, especially due to the fact that she was a guest in your home. She's a major a-hole for being judgmental and openly disdainful of you for your lifestyle choices, all with her having literally just met you. She was invited into your friend group as a gesture of kindness, given the difficulties she'd been experiencing, and yet she thought it was okay to berate you to and in front of your friends because you're a homemaker. She was a guest. Even a friend would be out of line to pull something like that, and in your home no less. You are a somewhat justified a-hole for throwing a divorce in her face. Did she deserve it? You could say so, but it was still a low blow, using what little information you had about her current life circumstances to hit her where it hurt most. That was, after all, the very reason she was invited to spend time with you all in the first place. Two wrongs don't make a right. You could have told her off and asked her to leave without bringing up a divorce. Was she wrong? Yes, but in the future, please don't let someone else's poor behavior bring yours down as well. I feel like I just got told off. Amiable Curiosity says everyone sucks here. She was rude and judgmental, but you were cruel. You could have been justified in asking her to leave and refusing to associate with her in the future. You would have been justified in calling out her behavior, but what you actually did was not justified. You really shouldn't have sunk to her level. Now, what do you guys make of this story? What are your thoughts on all of today's stories if you choose to share them? As always, I would love to hear them. If you have a moment of your time, please consider clicking that like button. And if you would like to support the channel further, you can click that join button down below for YouTube, or click the link tree in the description and join up on Patreon. It really helps out the channel, but never any pressure to do so either. Thank you so much for your love, support, and time, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.